Very excited to have you in today.
Glad to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So, every month we focus on a specific area of concern, and this month we are focused on the economy. But I like to look well beyond the numbers, right? How does it affect people? I know a lot of the work that you're doing is having a tremendous effect in your area. And so we want to reach out to you today and see, what have you been able to come up with? I understand you've been doing some designs and working in housing and helping to build up the community. And we just love to hear about it.
Okay, what area?
Well, my understanding was you've worked a lot in the housing space and coming up with different elements of that. And I would love to learn about more.
All right, so we'll talk about housing. We have a ladder of housing that is available to us. It starts actually with pre-housing, where we do car camping for homeless individuals, homeless families. We have a shelter program for homeless families. We have a interesting and strange tent village called Dust to Dawn, where we house 200 homeless individuals per night in mesh tents, old military tents that are heated and air conditioned, and then feed them at a different site during the day. And we serve about 200 people a night on that program. During the winter, that ramps up. Then we have the warming centers that we run during the winter when it gets below 30 degrees. That serves about 500 to 600. And then we have some other temporary housing and transitional housing. So transitional housing for homeless families, 2-year program enriched. About 30 of those slots are out there. Then we have the Veterans Housing Program for returning veterans. We have 10 houses out there. We market to veterans returning at below market rents. Then we have the SSVF program, which is supported services for veteran families. And we rehouse about 1 homeless veteran per day, about 400 per year. And then beyond that, then we start into our housing. SRO housing, 50 units of SROs scattered around the area. We purchase and repair and return to good condition derelict mobile home parks. We have 8 parks, about 500 units of housing there. Section 42 housing, which is permanent affordable housing for families and singles, about 1,000 units there. And then we have home ownership projects for people that are at below 100% of median income. So where we build them houses on property that we've acquired so that they can go out and be homeowners.
Wow. I have to digest all of that. That's amazing. It's an unusual question probably, but I want to ask it since I deal at the national level. How many federal dollars do you all receive?
Our operational budget is about $50 million a year, probably around $10 million.
Okay. And do you go directly through HUD, or do you also use VA and Health and Human Services?
We're equal opportunity scavengers. So if it's a contract, we'll do a HUD contract. If it's a veteran project, it'll be going through the VA. We also go through Treasury. And that's where the majority of the money comes through the Treasury, through the Section 42 tax credit program.
Right. And so what I really like about your program and what stuck out to me based on the folks that I talked to was this scaling. So not all of us work in this space. Can you tell us a little more about what is pre-housing? Like what does that actually mean, and what is the purpose and goal and scaling decisions?
Yeah, for better or for worse, there are more homeless individuals and families than we can house. Often they come with multiple barriers to housing. And so by having an access center to deal with those folks where the showers and laundry and so forth, and food service at the time a day, we're able to work with those individuals that are still homeless and say, can we find a more stable place for you until such time as you have the resources or the ability to be in housing? And that's where we move them into the tents that we have, which are these big mesh tents. They're huge. And so we house them in congregate housing in those units. It's a pretty well managed little affair. provide them the bedding and everything else they need, and then start working with them on a plan where they will not have to be homeless, that they could actually get into housing. And that what that looks like often is if a person's on a fixed income or very low income and they just can't afford the rent, finding a way to marry that person up with another person in a similar situation, see if they're compatible, and then seeing if we can repair their rent history. And credit repair is often a big deal. By going through our second chance rent rehabilitation program, which helps them how to be good tenants, and then getting them moved back out. And in this calendar year, I think we've got 50 or 60 individuals that we've been able to rehouse through that program. So that's kind of what we mean by pre-housing. Meeting people where they're at before they have the resources, getting them resources and some stability so that we can move them on from there.
Love it. And how many communities around the country are doing this in the manner that you're doing it and to the extent that you're doing it?
None.
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 Why do you think that is?
Well, it's because this organization is not relying primarily on largesse or on government grants. And so we're able to bring our own resources in to bear on very difficult issues and often in those programs. So I'd like to say that the federal government funds 100% of their activities with us, but they do not. I'd like to say that the state of Oregon or the city of Eugene does, but they don't. So since we have a large retail footprint and a large recycling footprint, both of those businesses spin off profits, and those profits can be used for the human services that we have around us.
So talk to me about these businesses. Are they run by the people that are living in these housing options?
Some are. Most of the time, it's just people that are coming out of difficult life situations. So ex-offenders coming out of incarceration or people with multiple barriers to employment, whether that's issues of personal or otherwise. And those folks run the various businesses for us. So we have 15 retail thrift stores, a car lot. We have a mattress recycling. We're the largest mattress recycler in the United States. We actually invented that business and we process under contract with counties and cities about 45,000 mattresses per month and deconstruct those, and then we're paid to do that service. We also are one of the largest freon gas recyclers in this region. So a lot of waste-based businesses associated with what we do. We're on our own interstate trucking division. So we have 400 trailers and 10 tractors to move product around, and we pillage a lot of stuff from transfer sites and dumps. And so, we sell a lot of books in our retail stores. We also sell a lot of product online. So it's a multi-dimensional response to business, working off of the resources that we have available through the waste stream, and actually taking advantage of people that have multiple skills but are not necessarily really employable.
How did you come up with all of this? This is a brilliant design. I
needed the money. So back in the 1980s, this county went through kind of like our big trees during the 1970s and early 80s. And when that happened, a whole bunch of the mills closed up around here, and unemployment ran close to 20%. And that was for a decade. And so obviously we needed to do something about the emergency needs of the community. And we said, well, where are we going to get the resources to do that? And we said, well, let's see if we can find something that people have left over that we could sell. And so we started going to transfer sites and dumps in this region and said there's a lot of stuff there that we could salvage. And then we said, well, if we were actually able to discipline that waste stream, so we want this product and this product and this product out of the waste stream, then we can actually optimize the gain on that, which allowed us then to grow the business. And then we controlled the trucking, and then we controlled more retail, and that gave us more opportunities, and away we went.
Wow. Did you see it getting to where it is today, back then?
Well, I see it. Potential. The potential is everywhere in the United States. You can do this to scale almost anywhere. We actually work with about 15 groups around the United States of the nonprofits to grow waste-based businesses. So we've helped set them up and grow their businesses. We're doing some mentoring around the country actually as we speak. to share the vision of how you can use the waste stream actually as an asset. So, we're working on it.
I love it. I mean, this really is very similar to what I'm trying to do around the country, right? It's maybe I'm not looking always at waste, but I'm looking at what is already happening and figuring out how we put that together in a more efficient way, and in a design fashion, really looking at the whole picture, not just how do I get this one person something, but rather how do I create the system that causes the ripple effect that you've just described. And one of the big points is, in my mind, becoming proactive instead of reactive, which is largely what you've done. Looking downstream, right? How do I move this person through the system, meet them where they are, and yet see the future for them? What do you see continuing? I mean, are you at a steady state, or are you all still growing? Is there more need?
Well, there's always more need. I wish it was different. I mean, it's like so many things. I wish the society would stop sending me new clients to work with, but they don't seem to want to do that. And I wish that we would be less wasteful, so the waste stream would dry up. Either one of those things seem to be happening. So as a result of that, the opportunities continue to be there for continued growth, and we have a pretty rapid growth rate.
So you're talking to, you said 15 other communities to either copy, mimic, or edit, I assume. I'm sorry?
They're already doing it. It's through our Cascade Alliance. The group across around the United States that work to create opportunity. We have a group in New York City that's working big reuse. We have a group in Bridgeport, Connecticut that does mattress recycling. We have a group in Orlando, Florida, Mustard Seed, that does mattress recycling.
So, I know the Mustard Seed.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, they're nice.
From Orlando.
Okay, well, if you've been there, you can see a lot of dirty mattresses hanging around.
Well, I love how you've connected waste with improving people's lives. It's just, it's an amazing way to do things. So they're not, though, doing the full scale ecosystem kind of that you've designed, correct? They're doing a piece of.
Yeah, you have to, it takes time and it takes entrepreneurship to get to the whole tuna. So what you do is you bite off a piece at a time. That's what we did. I mean, our budget back in 1985 was we didn't instantly become a $50 million a year business at the time.
Right, wait, sure. So if we wanted to bring this to every major city in the country, what would be the first 3 steps that we would need to do? Because to your point, we couldn't do it all at once.
Right. Identify a nonprofit organization that has the same type of mission that we do, that is interested in taking risk, interested in stepping out of their comfort zone, and interested in being entrepreneurial. The next thing you do is you look in that community for the waste stream or the place in the system that fits best for that group. So if it's book recycling, or if it's mattress recycling, or if it's appliance recycling, or automobiles, or retail thrift, or whatever else it is, what's the best fit? Where's the best opportunity? The last thing is then go out to the public sector and to the nonprofit or to the philanthropic sector and say, but for your funds, the contracts to do this, we could do the same thing that they're doing out west.
That's a 1, 2, 3. I love it. What are the hiccups?
Risk. Risk. Most nonprofits are risk averse, and they're very mission driven, but they're risk averse. And anything that you're going to do in the business world requires risk. You have to be interested in maintaining a business that has to be viable in the private marketplace, and that's tough.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing in government, right? We're fear driven instead of mission driven. And I've seen so many problems because of it. And this is where I start to get to this. How do we get to think about these problems from an innovative perspective in order to be able to do that? But you're right, there is an element of risk that if you do differently than you've been doing, you'll get a different result. Hopefully it's a good result.
If you do it right, very good results.
Yeah, no, this is great. When people talk with you, what are the two top questions they usually have?
How did you get your board to agree? And
Okay.
how do you sleep at night?
How do you sleep at night?
I sleep very well. I mean, I'm generally pretty tired. No, I mean, some of us are adrenaline junkies,
Yes.
and I love the work I've done. I've been doing this for almost a half a century, 48 years, uh, and so I know this business pretty well, and I know what the opportunities are, and I basically figured out how to put the pieces together. And so every new challenge is a new opportunity. And so every time something goes south on this part of it, you turn around and say, yeah, that's really an opportunity. What does it mean?
Very interesting. Well, I love it. Where can we get more information?
You can go to our website, svdp.us, and you can go under a number of our subheadings down there. But, the Cascade Alliance is a good one. That talks about our waste-based businesses a lot. Also, a series of white papers in there about all the various lines of business. So, describing the renovation of mobile home parks, or mattress recycling, or CSC recovery, or retail thrift. All those, we have a series of white papers in there. You can take a look and see what we've got.
I love that. Do you serve on any boards for HUD?
Nope.
Has anyone ever approached you to do that?
Nope.
Do you know what those boards are?
Nope.
Very interesting. That you are a nugget that our country needs, and nobody's reaching out. This is the reality sometimes of government. So what we have are boards that come in, and when we find a great idea like yours, request that you give strategic advice and help to design programs going forward. And they use them across all the departments. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's just who you know versus necessarily who's doing great work. But you would be a tremendous resource because you speak exactly the way we speak in government. These are the steps that we need to take. It's really helpful. Well, thank you so much. What are some, I guess I would just close with, what is it that you wish the country would know that I might not think to ask? I mean, this is your expertise area. I'm just learning.
Right. So I was at in Washington, D.C. about a month ago at the Chamber of Commerce, and they had a sustainability back there. Things that they did was that they said, when you're talking about waste, when you're talking about landfills and waste and transfer sites and all that stuff, you got to stop thinking of it as waste. You have to think about it as opportunity. That there is resource recovery is really what you're talking about. Well, we have so many resources that are available through the waste stream that we have that there's an unlimited opportunity to move this product around and make money on it. There's also an unlimited opportunity to decrease our carbon footprint pretty dramatically. So you can tie all these pieces together just around the whole theory of, if we were treating our waste, human and material, as assets instead of liabilities, it would change the dynamic.
I love it. I had not flipped it that way in my head, but I think it makes a lot of sense. And I also like that it, it's almost the way you're saying it, the human asset as well. Instead of looking at everybody as a problem space, looking at how it is that we can employ them in alternative ways.
Sure. Almost all my management team came from the various programs of this organization. It's all vertically integrated, and they're the ones that are invested in it because they understand the business, because they ran their way up through it. I mean, my general stores operations manager was an ex-offender. My personnel director is a person that was on welfare when she was 16 with 2 kids. All these things, these people have made a commitment to this organization because they believe in it, but they also the fact that they just love what we do. So it's a matter of just creating the opportunity and the space for people to go out there and run amok.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. This was really far more great information than I was even expecting, and I appreciate your flexibility with the videos.
No problem. Take care.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.